That is so awesome. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. I have probably about 25 minutes that I'm going to be able to do this. So we're not going to be out here very long. I just wanted to share. Hey, there's Mitch, man. I only got a few minutes to talk, bro, but
Okay.
I am on the live stream. Hey, what's the name of your channel again?
Mitch does. MITCHDOES.
Mitch Does. All right. That's one of our other YouTubers here.
Hey, the Uneducated Economist is a great local resource.
Thank you, Mitch, man. I really appreciate that.
Okay. Hey, have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you. So, anyway,
Be on
he's.
that episode.
I will, sir. Thank you. I think he said he was going to be on that episode. Anyway, that's Mitch. He's a kind of nutty guy, but I haven't ever checked out his channel, but he's another local YouTuber here who I think kind of messes with the cops and stuff like that. But anyway, no offense to him or anything like that. I've talked with him a couple of times. He seems like a really friendly dude. And anyway, let's talk about these food shortages. So now a lot of people are asking me how it is that there's possibly a food shortage coming. And it's not like it's not exactly easy to explain, but really, if you think about like what happened during the pandemic, think about just bring it down to like just one farmer. Just imagine yourself being a farmer of anything out there. Okay, it doesn't really matter what it is because most people who were farming or had farms and harvest during the pandemic really got hammered really hard. So let's just take the example of the dairy farmers who were dumping all that milk. Remember that when they had like hundreds of thousands of gallons of milk that they couldn't distribute because the breakdown of the supply chain and the commercial like use of this, like, because they were, jeez, I'm talking too fast, slow down. Because the restaurants had been shut down, there's like two ways that, manufacturing of food kind of goes: the retail and then like the commercial. Like, so if you're buying bulk for restaurants or situations like that, you're not buying the same food that you're buying if you go to like the retail and go to like your grocery store. Hold on 1 second, I got to put this back here else I'll cook my phone. So you're not going to be buying the same. And so all these people who were manufacturing food during that time got really, really hammered. All those guys who dumped their milk, all the people who were killing off their herd, all the onions, remember all the food that was just getting destroyed during that time because they couldn't get it through the distribution network. Imagine yourself being one of those farmers. Just think about this for a second. You had invested a lot of time, money, and effort into making this food that got thrown away. Let me ask you, how likely are you going to invest into your farm to produce as much food or even more food than you had during that time? Most likely you're not. And so this is the situation that we're coming into, is that a lot of these farmers are not expanding the amount of available product to even sell. They have diminished a lot of their efforts. All those some of them may have even failed during that time. Then you start adding in all the other cost of fuel, fertilizers, all the other stuff that goes into it. There's not a lot of room for expanding that food supply. So this is the real situation that we're coming into. And as this food failure to produce, as far as making it, it's going to leave less in the system. And when that happens, the price of it's going to go through the roof. So it's not going to be a situation where there's no food to buy. There will be food to buy, that's for sure. The problem with it is it's going to be so expensive that people are going to have a hard time affording that. They will have to buy the food. There is no choice. You have to do it. And what that's going to do is take away the money that you would spend anywhere else in the economy. That's really where things are going to start getting damaged. But on the flip side of that, after the food shortages cause the price of food to go through the roof, think about how much investment is going to go into producing food, because you're going to want to take advantage of these high price food items, right? If you're farming and your milk goes up to, however much a gallon, you're going to want to invest in more cows and more farmland or whatever to expand your operations to take advantage of that at the same time as everybody else is as well. And so what's going to end up happening from that is that as people start to expand the availability to grow more, like, just investing more into it, that's going to take out, you're going to have to take out debt to do this for the most part. Everybody's going to do the same thing at the same time, and then you're going to have a flood of food coming in. Right? So this is after the shortages. People aren't going to realize when it's in the thick of it, when it gets down to the absolute diminished amount of food, people are going to be insane. They are going to lose it. I mean, lose it. And that's where you're going to start seeing a lot of crime. You're going to see a lot of panic. You're going to see some real serious issues coming from that. I mean, it's going to get really, really nasty. Because you think about it, you need food to survive. I mean, you can do away with pretty much anything else out there, but not food. And people will kill to get it. I mean, it's just going to be sad. But then after that, you're going to have a big run up in food because everybody's going to want to grow and take advantage of that take advantage of that high price. On top of that, with this flood of food, the price is going to fall, and then the farmers who have invested out to the very bitter end of what they are capable of handling are going to start failing. And then again, we're going to have a bunch of food shortages because there's going to be less farmers. This is going to take years to go through. I mean, this stuff, like somebody says, so inflation's over? Not even. I mean, not even. I wouldn't say like, because I mean, I guess you have to think about like two different things. There's inflation, like the expansion of money and credit, and then there's prices. Prices are the results of inflation. So prices are going to shoot up because of the shortages in food. Farmers are going to invest to try and take advantage of that. The flood of food is going to come in, and it's going to start wiping out the farmers because they're not going to be able to afford their payments. And then we're going to have less farmers going into the next shortages. This is going to get very crazy for people. This is one of the reasons why I keep telling people you should get prepared by learning to can. Canning food and having lids and rings is going to be your best opportunity. You can store up on a bunch of food. That's another way to do it. But then you have this huge storage of food that you have to deal with. What if you have to bug out? What if somebody steals it? What if anything happens out there that causes your supply of food to be gone? Then what are you going to do? What if you come across, say, like people say, well, I can go and hunt deer or I can do whatever. Let's say you kill a deer. Let's say you have one. If you don't have any way of preserving that thing, then what are you going to get? Maybe 1 or 2 meals out of that, and that's it. It's gone. So being able to can is probably going to be the best skill that you can have going into a food shortage situation. These are the things that I'm predicting coming from it. I'm assuming most of it is probably going to be so like focused in another direction and blamed on another direction that people are going to like force the government to do something about it. And that's where it's a good opportunity. Not saying it's a good opportunity, but an opportunity for the government to introduce that central bank digital currency. Never let a good crisis go to waste, right? Okay, so wow, 500 of you up in here. Love it. Go and hit the like button. We'll get a few more people up in here. I'm going to be out here for probably another 15, 20 minutes or so. And we'll see what you guys have to say. Thank you very much for that super chat that was up there. What was that? Let me see. Oh, it's a super sticker. Thank you very much, Grant, for the $1.49. I really appreciate what is. Okay, let's see here. Eat Vegans. Hey, UE, when are you going to do an intro to canning video? Oh, I have a canning video in my content somewhere in there. My wife and I, we went down to the grocery store, we bought some chicken, brought it home, and processed it into the jars and sealed it up. In fact, we still have some of it left. We eat it every once in a while. We'll pull it out and make something out of it. Generally, like when you can up chicken and stuff like that, it gets kind of soft and mushy, so you don't want to eat it right out of the can, although you could. So usually we mix it into something else that we're making, casserole dishes or soup or something like that. Alright. But yeah, if you go and look at my videos, my content, there is a canning video on there, and it was pretty good, I thought. So blame is irrelevant. We called them, Simon. They are not coming. Who's not coming? The government? No, they'll come. They'll come and say that they're the saviors with the central bank digital currency. They'll be like, this is what you need to eat. All right, easier to buy what's already canned. Carrots, green beans, corn, peas, all 58 cents. Where I am, a case of 12 cans is under $8. Well, yeah, that's a wonderful, yeah, don't get me wrong. If you can acquire food, I would do it. Like, I wouldn't hesitate on stocking up on as much food as you can get. Either that or just be prepared to pay an arm and a leg for it. That's the only other way to get around it. And you're going to see places where it's going to get really scary. I don't look forward to this at all, or reading the stories that are going to come from other nations around the world who are not going to be able to allocate this food. They are going to suffer big time from it. And like I said, when people go hungry, they will lose it. They will lose their mind. And we have to be prepared for that. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but if I was right about a bunch of things in the past coming into this, I would I wouldn't, even if I'm wrong, like even if I'm just completely batshit, at least you have the food, right? And if you have canning supplies, that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's a good skill to have. Use that skill and then just use up all the equipment that you had purchased. That's not like a bad position to be in. Even if it doesn't happen, it's okay because you can still use the stuff and you can eat the stuff. So there's very little downside risk to preparing for a food shortage. You know? All right, moving on. 647 of you up in here. Thank you very much for hitting that like button. Good time to get to know your local farmer. Yes, absolutely. And that's probably one of the biggest things that you should really be doing right now is networking. If you don't have food, if you don't have the skill to do some of the things that you know are going to happen in the future, find the people who do and trade that skill with them. Like, say you know how to build, like you're a carpenter or something like that. There's going to be plenty of times coming into the future where a carpenter is going to be needed. And if you're a farmer who doesn't know how to build, which I can't imagine because all farmers know how to build stuff. I mean, farmers are a very unique kind of carpenter. But anyway, if you farm and you don't really have that kind of skill, well, then you can hire carpenters to build you, barns or something like that and do that kind of trade of skills because that's really what's going to take. If you are going to be dependent on your livelihood as far as like an income in order to provide you with the things that you need going into the shortage, you're going to find yourself in a pretty bad predicament where you're going to have a hard time acquiring the money and the food, and that's going to be a dangerous spot to be in. So prepare now. Like, I mean, your time to prepare was a long time ago. I said it. Now it's coming. I mean, if you ain't there, you're in a panic right now to try and get this done. And I'm not trying to scare you guys, but it's obvious. I mean, just look around. It's obviously happening now. Um, all right, gone down here. Do you think what's coming will be similar to the Great Depression, or is there any other historical event you can compare what's coming to? Okay, I don't have exact numbers or events, but you can just go and look at different famines through history, and you can see that there has been times in history where global food shortages had diminished. Even Cantillon talks about these food shortages and how only the rich have food. So it's happening. I mean, if you could find historical famines and look at some of the conditions that were happening prior to those, you'd probably see where everybody was really happy and there was this irrational exuberance and all kinds of stuff taking place. Then all of a sudden, all that diminished and fell, and then people started starving and dying. All right, there was another super chat. Thank you so much. God, I can hardly read this. Space Bun. Very cool. $5. Peace and love. Well, thank you very much. And yes, that is something that is probably, like, I tell you guys not to live in fear, right? That's so true. Don't live in fear, but don't be ignorant towards these things. Don't ignore them. Don't say that it's not happening. I mean, there's plenty of evidence out there that it's taken place. And so if you are aware of it and you're actively doing something about it, then you're not going to be fearful of it. You're going to be like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. It's going to be a hard time, and I'm prepared, right? I'm prepared mentally, physically, financially for this event to happen. And like I said, even if I'm wrong, then you at least get to eat the food, and there's no worries behind it. So very little downside risk. But peace and love, absolutely. When you are dealing with the people who are around you, if you are trading skills, if you are trading anything or just trying to network, do it with love in your heart. Don't do it with this idea that you're going to take advantage of the situation or take as much as you can from the person. You will fail. You will fail miserably at that. Make sure you do it with true intent and meaning and purpose and love in your heart when you go, okay? Let's see here. Drain it, make chicken salad in the summer. Yeah, no, that is a great thing to do with that chicken, with that canned chicken. It's it's not like it's the greatest thing right out of the can, so you have to mix it with stuff, I mean, well, some people might eat it out of the can and be okay. I mean, or out of the jar. What's your estimated timeline? That's going to be a difficult one to say because, it really, I mean, this is going to take a long time, guys. I mean, think about like how long we have been dealing with this, and it's not going to go back to normal. I mean, we have a new a new era that we are going into. I mean, automation is going to take over all kinds of stuff. I mean, including the farming. Like, it's going to get to a point where, like, the average person is hardly going to be doing anything when it comes to manufacturing because everybody's going to move into automation. How long that takes? It's going to take a long time, but it's eventually going to happen. Sardines are a good one. You know, I love sardines. So sardines on just plain old, like, you know, soda cracker kind of thing, man. That's my one of my favorite meals. My dad used to eat that when I was a kid, and I don't know, it just kind of reminds me of that, I guess. But I love sardines. All right. Bought 100 pounds of rice. See, right there. That's a great way to go about it. 100 pounds of rice. How much could that possibly cost you, right? And it's 100 pounds of rice. At least you have something to eat. That's pretty cool. Even if I'm wrong, it's like, you know, you can eat the rice, or it's not that big of a loss right now. So 100 pound, 50 pound bag of rice, 50 pound bag of beans, 50 pound bag of oats. You know, if that's all you can do, if that is all you can do, at least you have something. And then supplement that, like learn to forage, fish, you know, get with somebody who does know how to do those things and trade them. I mean, you're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to get creative in this. All right, I'm going to be out here for about another 10 minutes, guys. Wow, 900 of you up in the super or up in this chat. That is super awesome. Okay. Buy a sheep and drink its milk. Yeah, you know, I've had goat's milk. I've gotten more of an acquired taste for it. Like, I really like goat cheese, but anything outside of like dairy, if you had grown up on, or if you basically just only drank dairy from a cow milk, goat's milk is really odd tasting. It is very funny. I like it. I mean, like I said, and when I was a kid, I didn't like it, but you know, as I've gotten older, I've really enjoyed the taste of goat milk. If it's not too goaty, I mean, sometimes you can get some pretty goaty milk, but you know, for the most part, it's pretty good, I thought. And you know, if you're lactose intolerant, then I don't think you have the issues with goat milk that, you know, that dairy does. All right. Let's see here. We tune in to see if the headliner is still holding on. Yeah, it's still up there. It's starting to get these bigger holes in it, though, so it's really starting to deteriorate. You know, it's getting pretty bad. All right. Free food for Loof? I don't know what that is. All right. Convert grass into milk. Yeah. Okay. Technology. 1 year plus stored. Took a while. Combination of expensive storage food and canned meat, veggies, and fruit. So there you go. You got a year. So that's pretty awesome to have a year's. Like, if you can live for a year without having to buy any food, that's a pretty good position to be in, because really you can supplement that for a lot longer. I mean, you could go out and, who knows, 3, 4, 5 years with that, if you know, so long as the food lasts. Let's see here. Let's go to the bottom. Janet Yellen, Power, ET all don't know what's going on. How is it that you have the confidence to predict anything? Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, when when somebody taught you, if somebody teaches you like economics, then you go to a base. Like, you know, you start off at this base and then you start building off of it. I don't have a base. I got like the shotgun approach to looking at the economy, and the more I study, the more I kind of get the feel for how things are moving. Like, I get so much information from so many different directions, you just start getting a feel for how things are going to operate and go. You know, I mean, a lot of people say that I missed the housing market, but I really didn't miss the housing market. Had the pandemic not kicked in, there would never have been forbearance or, you know, any of that like moratorium that went on. We would have seen a crash in the system, and the real estate market would have like been devastated. But they prevented it, like they papered it over. And so like all the foreclosures and stuff that was supposed to have happened, it was covered up. I mean, nobody got foreclosed on, and nobody had to make their payments, and nobody had to pay rent. I mean, how do you have a foreclosure when that's kind of situation is happening? And then it gives everybody the ability to refinance their house at a lower interest rate, making their payments easier. Then the real estate market goes up above like all-time highs. So even if you couldn't make your payments or start up your payments or refinance your mortgage, you could just sell your house for a profit. There was no room for failure. I mean, they prevented the failure from happening with all the stimulus money and papering over. It doesn't mean it still won't happen, but as far as like my prediction of what was going to happen to the housing market, they covered that up. They papered it over. People prepare for the worst and you won't really need to predict anything. Yeah, I guess that's another way. Wow, 1,100 of you up in here. This is amazing. Be sure and hit that like button. I mean, I'm only going to be out here. I'll stay out here for another 10 minutes and then I got to go because that's probably already going to make me late for work. Janet Yellen does know what's going on. She's just plays dumb. That is all manufactured. Yeah. Hey, thank you very much, Michael, for the $1.99. 31 trillion of gold found in Uganda crypto impact. Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. All right, let's see here. I'm here in San Francisco Bay Area, man, and we are in the middle of a full-blown housing crash, which started in November of last year. Prices are dropping like a stone. They won't tell you this, okay? I can believe that. In a lot of areas, it's really starting to happen. You're not the first person to report on that. Now, I'm going off of what I'm experiencing in my area. I am seeing some house reductions. I'm seeing some prices come down, but I just checked the Zillow estimate on my house that I had purchased, and it is off the charts higher, like almost $100,000 in equity since I purchased it. And I mean, if that doesn't scare the hell out of me, I don't know what will, because that is a definite sign that we are moving into irrational exuberance here in our area, and that at some point it's got to reverse. I mean, it doesn't got to reverse, but it just seems to me like this is now like it's too much. It's just too much. All right, here we go. Let's see. All right, 1,170 up in here. What's your favorite color? Um, I don't know. I like the color blue because it's soothing, right? Makes me feel comfortable. When you look out there on the river, for the most part, you see blue. You see blue skies. So to me, I like looking at the color blue because it's relaxing. But is it my favorite color? I don't like wearing the color blue so much. Like I like wearing black, myself. All right, thank you very much for the 4.99, Jaws. You are so generous. All right, Victory Gardens for all. Buy Bitcoin Silver this week. Also canning for the first time. Thanks for helping to expand my world. Well, thank you, Jaws, for listening and for being here and for all the contributions you have done for me. I mean, you've contributed a lot and I appreciate it, man. And yeah, definitely garden. We had a horrible gardening season. Everybody is complaining about it up here. We had a terrible start to the spring. Hardly anybody got their plants in the ground. It was cold, it was rainy. They did not want to start very well. Then on top of it, everybody is saying the same thing. The apples around here are non-existent. The apple trees hardly have any apples on them, because during the time when those blossoms, because that's really where there's a critical stage. And now I'm not like some apple farmer or anything like that, but there's a critical stage when the blossoms from a apple tree are at their prime, right? And this is where the bees and everything work and get them all pollinated. If there is any damaging that's taken place during that like 2 week kind of sensitive period, then you will find like hardly any apples being grown on these trees. Like the harvest itself is just extremely diminished. And that was the case here in our area. Like everybody's complaining about it because you can see the little starts of the apples now, and everybody's complaining that their apple trees hardly have any apples on them this year. So it's a big deal. All right, guys, I'm going to give it another 5 minutes and I'm going to bail. All right, thank you very much. Who is that? Pronto? Thank you, E, for expressing your educated opinion on your channel. Your positive attitude when addressing uneducated criticism here is inspiring. Well, thank you, man. I mean, I really appreciate it. You guys are just so supportive and so encouraging. I don't like, I don't even know how to say it. Like, I mean, you guys are like part of my life now. I can't help but to do this and be part of it. And if it wasn't for you, like all the kind words and being involved in the channel and just I don't know what I would do. Like, I don't know what I would do without you guys. So, I mean, I really appreciate it. Shattered Dreams, thank you very much for the $5. Are you ex-military by chance? No, I've never been in the military myself. Every single male in my family, including my little sister, who, I don't know, a lot of you might have met her at the Rebel Capitalist Live event. She's a Marine. My brother was in the Army. My other brother was a CB. My dad was in the Coast Guard. My grandfather was in the Army. My great-grandfather ran up San Juan Hill with Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, this is my family. I mean, they are all ex-military, very hardcore people. And I don't know, maybe it was just because I had spent so much time listening to the stories and being involved with it that I ended up being the black sheep who didn't join. And I tell you, I look back on my life and I wish I had. I wish I had at least done 4 years of military, so for the experience of it. It wasn't for me. The main reason why I didn't join the military is because I didn't do very well with academic, like with my grades and stuff, and I can shoot a rifle really well, like really well. And I know there was one thing that I was going to end up doing if I had joined the military, and I did not want to participate in that. So I knew that from a young age that that wasn't the life for me. However, the experience of being in the military and that kind of thing, I do kind of like think that could have been good for me in my life. But I didn't do it. You know, I'm 46 now, so I'm not gonna. I don't think there's any chance of that. That's how you fix affordable housing. Scare Wall Street out of single homes. Yeah, I think really there is no fixing the problem. The only way you can really fix the problem is to figure out a way to start building more homes. If you can figure out a way that you can start slamming together 12 to 1400 square foot ranch style single level this cookie cutter homes, just blast them out, I think you could take care of a housing problem in no time. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Builders build the most expensive house that they can possibly get because the margins are so tight on these things that you have to build expensive in order to, be profitable on each house. So it's kind of unfortunate. I know there is some areas where they blast out those type of homes, but like in my area, you'd never see anything like that. All right. Guys, gosh, I really would love to stay out here and hang out, but I'm gonna answer one more question. I gotta go back into work. Let's see here. Let's go. Okay, you expect power outages. Why not freeze food? Yeah, because just like anything else, there's no problem with freezing food, except I have experienced it here in my area where in in 2007, we had a huge storm come through. It knocked out the power for 250,000 people in our area, and some people were out of power for over 7 days. One guy that I know, he had two big giant chest freezers, and plus his regular house freezer full of, I think he said he had two elk, a couple of deer. He had like the pig that he had raised. He had all this meat that he had basically a year's worth of meat or more gone. Threw it all away. Right? So if he wasn't prepared, like even that much, you're gonna have a hard time trying to can all that up. Like even if you were like, man, I gotta process all this and save it, and start canning it all. That's an intense amount to can in one shot. Like you can do it, I mean, but holy moly, talk about working to save your life. That's gonna be a difficult position to be in. So there's nothing wrong with freezing your food. Just be prepared to have a power outage and lose all that or be able to process it. So that's kind of like my warning for that. I would love to stay out here and hang out. I mean, I've never had 1,300 people watching me at once, so this is incredible. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know what to say for being here and helping me out and just being so supportive of everything. So thank you guys. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.